Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the morning game drive with me, Ralph Kirsten, and on the camera we have Wiem, and on FC we have Kirsten, and we're going to be heading out looking for some lions. Please join us on hashtag Safari Live on Twitter and on the YouTube live chat. We're in the Kruger National Park this morning, and we have heard some lions early this morning, so we're trying to follow up on some tracks, trying to find where they have been moving. It seemed like they were in the area of Vuyatela Dam, so we've just been circling around a little bit, trying to see if they haven't moved out, and for the moment we haven't picked up the tracks just yet. I heard that calling at about 3 o'clock this morning, 3:30, and it sounded like it was about 5 or 6 individuals, but there's probably more of them with that group. So we don't know if it's the Styx Pride or the Nkahumas, but we'll follow up and we'll try and see who it is exactly. So we want to see if they've either dropped out at Twin Dams or if they've gone in the other direction towards the western side. So I'm going to start up. We want to quickly try and see if they're on the move. We definitely want to try and pick up on them as quickly as possible. So I'm going to be starting up and heading. We're going to be spinning around. We just started with a lovely sunrise, but we're going to be spinning around and heading towards Vuyatela Dam. So please join me. Let's go. Please send us your comments and your questions, and we can make it as interactive as possible. Now, these lions might have been on the move, or they might actually be lying up for the morning, and that's what we want to try and establish. If they're on the move, then we want to try and catch up with them. Obviously, if they've bedded down for the morning, that would be great. B. Wilson, thanks for your comment, saying that was a nice opening. Well, we do try our best out here in Safari Live. And we're just heading up here towards Vuyatela Dam. So let's have a quick look here and see if the lions have not moved down here. The direction that I heard their call coming from was sort of in this Vuyatela Dam area. As I got up for my early morning coffee this morning, I finished my shower and I started the kettle, and while I was waiting for the water to boil, I heard the lions calling off in the distance, and this was where I sort of thought they were calling from. The hyenas were also at it, but they generally just moving around the camp looking to scrounge anything out. So let's maybe just stop here just for a second. You can see if there's any movement around the pan, and I'll just get my binos out, have a look, scan the area. This is the way we would sort of be trying to establish some movement of the lions. I can never be sure where they are, where they would have moved, but we can do the whole process of elimination. And then obviously we would be listening out for any of the alarm calls, the impala with their noises, or the guinea fowl with their alarm, any squirrels, and any of that kind of noise like that. Alright, it doesn't seem like they're here for now, so I'm going to continue along the road. There's not a moment to lose, because if they're on the move, we want to catch them before they leave the property. So that's why I'm in a little bit of a hurry not to sit here and see what might come along. We want to try and catch up with these lions. Okay, so we are hoping that we can catch up with these lions. It would be fantastic if we can, and if they're on the move, if they're marking territories, we'll move with them. If they're bedding up, then we'll stay with them. Either way, I'd love to find out where they are. So I think from here we might head more in that westerly direction. We've started off on the eastern side. Cheetah asking the question, what cat or which cat is the easiest to find if you're heading out in the morning? Well, Cheetah, it generally depends on whichever cat is making the most amount of noise or alerting you to their presence. But I would say generally that lions are the easiest to find, because generally, as I say, they normally move in bigger groups. So direction where they are, it's easier to pick up on them because there's more of them, so there would be more track. We're not just looking for one individual, we're looking for a few. A group of lions than it is to find one individual, and leopard obviously being the most difficult to find in general, because of the stealthy way that they move, and if they walk onto any kind of hard substrate, you lose their tracks completely. So lions definitely for me the easiest to follow. However, having said that, I still haven't picked up any tracks of them. I did hear them, but we still haven't found any tracks as of yet. Now we're just moving up a little bit here. Coming past some impala. Now excuse me for continuing, but I've said I would like to see if we can find where these lions have moved towards. So we're going to head up here past quarantine. I'm starting to learn the reserve quite nicely now already, learning the roads, learning my orientation and the direction, and so now we're starting to head in more of a westerly direction. I want to circle back and around on the western side and just try and eliminate that side as well. And I've done the eastern side, now I'm doing the western side, so just trying to see which way that they've moved. And as I continue along the road, trying to pick up on some tracks. I think we're going to cross over to James shortly, who is a little bit closer to the ground, and maybe he has some tracks for us as well.
What we have got, good morning everybody, before I tell you what we have got is some lioness tracks here. I'll tell you about them while I say that we are very sorry, of course, for being late today. It wasn't our fault. I don't know what it was. We'll probably have to kill somebody in final control today. At the very least, we'll certainly have them tortured. That will hopefully make you feel better about the tardiness of our start this morning. My name is James Henry. Fergus is returned from leave and is on camera this morning. There is his powerful thumb, marvellous, and our plan.
Right, folks, we're back. Seems there was a little bit of a problem with the feed there with James, but we're still on the way looking for those lions, and just been chatting with VM, just trying to establish, VM has been here a little bit longer than me, in fact a lot longer than me. He knows the roads and sometimes the movements of the animals as well a lot better than I do. So always looking for the advice of locals and using all the tools at your disposal. Right, folks, and there's just been an update from viewers on the chat that indeed there seemed to be movement around the dam cam, which is at Vuyatela. So my suspicions were correct that the lions were moving in the area. It seemed the buffalo were running across the wall. That was at about 3:15. So my timing was about right. Just around that time, the lions were roaring. So things, thank goodness. But so we're going to now be doing the whole circling round and looking for where these lions have moved. I did hear more than one individual and possibly about 5 or 6 of them. So this is a whole pride of lions, I believe. And they were all calling in. So we just need to dash around and try and catch up with them, see which way they've moved. No tracks for now, and we've looked in that Twin Dams area where if they would be moving, they would be going in that direction on that eastern side. So now we've sort of come more westerly, so we're just trying to eliminate this side as well. Lovely to wake up in the morning and hear the lions calling. Fantastic way to wake up, huh? I don't know if any of you have ever had the luxury or the pleasure of waking up to lions calling, especially if they're nearby. You can feel it in your chest. It's that deep call of a territorial lion. It's just one of those sounds that will never leave you. And having said that, if the viewers saw that there was a buffalo or two running over the dam wall, that's also good news for the lions, especially if it's the Nkuhunas, because I hear that they are specialists in hunting buffalo. So that would be great if there are a buffalo or two around, because that would mean that there's some food for them, keeping them in the same area. Because when we had that herd of buffalo moving through the other day, the lions seemed to follow them, and as the buffalo moved out, so did the lions. So maybe with there being one or two individual buffalo in the area, maybe that's why the lions have returned. Remember folks, I'm making assumptions here, making educated guesses. It's not anything that I am 100% sure of. But through my experience and the time having spent that in the bush, that is the kind of things that we sort of work on. So, coming down in this area here, heading down towards the drainage line. We'll see if we can pick up on the tracks. Now, excuse me for just continuing and driving, but I'm sure you can understand the anticipation of trying to find these lions. Okay, they are having little difficulties with Jamesy on foot with the connection of the feed, so we're just going to continue with us here trying to find out where these lions have moved. There's fun and games going on with James, but he should be back shortly, folks. He will be out on foot trying to maybe pick up on the tracks. You know, it's sometimes a little bit easier on foot because you're closer to the ground and you can follow the trail a little bit easier through the thickets. Now, we've got to follow the road, and sometimes we do miss that track if, for instance, the lions have just crossed the road as opposed to have walked on it going through. So he might eventually pick up on those tracks and be able to show us more definitely which direction they have moved. We're doing the process of elimination, leapfrogging, jumping around and trying to pick up those tracks and see if, you know, we're just trying to crisscross, see where they moved like that. Whereas on foot you can literally follow the trail from start to end. But we can move faster and we can also do the looping around much easier. And once we do find the lions, we can obviously get a lot closer than them on foot. And when you're on foot, the animals do react totally different to you as well. They seem to look at that funny animal on two legs and be extremely cautious. They can be also more aggressive as well, because evolution-wise, that animal on two legs, bad news. Whereas this big stinky green animal that we're driving around generally doesn't mean any harm to them at all. It is much later in the evolutionary process for them to have understood what vehicles are, but there has generally not been a massive problem for them with vehicles, especially in areas where there is no hunting. They don't associate vehicles with danger. TA asking a question, how many lions are in the average lion pride? Well, TA, good question. In general, you know, in the past we had very big super prides when we didn't have any fences around parks and blocking animals. Now, I would say in general you're looking at about between 6 and 9 or 10. So between 6 and 10 animals is probably your general size of your prides, and the general size of males is normally between 1 and 3. Now you get super prides in the Okavango Delta, which are 30 plus animals, and there they have coalitions of males of 5 plus. But it's not generally that normal anymore. I do think that was probably more the norm back before we started to put fences around parks and blocking animals from their migratory movements and patterns, and especially in areas where there were a lot of resources, like in the Okavango Delta, I think, and in the Kruger National Park, this areas, I think we would have had very big prides. They would have been able to move and follow the animals, possibly further west towards the arid or desert areas. There would have been a lot smaller prides, as they are still today. They're not totally fenced either, a lot more free range, but it's all to do with the resources. The more resources, the more predators that will be able to survive in those areas, and also then the bigger coalitions and the bigger prides that will become established. So yes, but generally now we're talking between 5 and 10 animals being the average size of a pride. Now, I'm quite disappointed here. We haven't picked up on these tracks at all, but let's still continue along the road here. We're heading now back towards Vuyatela Dam. We have done now the loop. After this, I think we're going to need to leapfrog all the way down to Twin Dams, just to check that they haven't popped out on that side. So we're trying our best to pick up. It would be very exciting for us to find these lions, and all the signs are there for us to be able to do as such, except for us finding their tracks. So we're still looking. Christy asking the question, which is my favorite bird, or of all the birds out there, which is my favorite? Wow, Christy, that's a very good question. I've spoken about the fork-tailed drongo being one of my favorite because of his uncanny ability to be not scared of anything, very much like the honey badger of the sky. But there are a couple of other birds that I really do like, and one of them being the African fish eagle. Because of its iconic call, it's just one of those sounds that, for me, like a lion calling in the early morning, the call of an African fish eagle is just something that reminds me of Africa, makes me feel at home and part of the bush. So I would have to say that they definitely are one of my favorite birds, the African fish eagle, and its call in particular. So we're still heading up down the road here, trying to pick up on these tracks. Where have these lions gone? Where have they moved? No tracks of yet. But you know, we can always miss it, as I say. I'm sure sooner or later James will possibly have some news for us on foot. And he's got Herbie with him, so he will be close to the ground. Oh, okay, we've had some slight problems with the walking packs and so on, so I think James is heading out on vehicle, but nonetheless, that also us out there up on these lions. We'll spread out. I'm moving. He'll know, and he'll move in any other clues, but
good morning, sorry about that, much technical trouble this morning. This time it was a battery. We're now on jigger, of course. I did introduce myself, so I shan't do that again. We're going to try and find, however, the tracks, well, not the tracks, the lion at the end of the tracks that Herbert found going past the camp last evening, and we think it's the lioness that has the two little cubs, and we're pretty sure that where we stopped and were looking around where they'd made a kill yesterday on foot, we're pretty sure that she left the little cubs there, and that perhaps we just missed them, they were hiding, and then of course the rest of the pride went off to Simbambalai, possibly for a supper or something like that. And so now we're going to go back into that area and see if we're not lucky. Chris Rogue, you say you can hear lions calling now. This is very interesting. I cannot hear any lions calling now. But what we will do is head up into that area and see if we don't get lucky. It's a little bit chilly at the moment. I may have to put my jacket on. About 18 degrees Celsius, I'm told, but really nice cool mornings. Here we have some imbalas in the golden morning light. Good morning, imbalas with little babies. Fergus, have you seen any lambs yet?
One or two yesterday, but
Oh, there they are.
little buggers, eh?
They are wee. They are very wee indeed. Fergus just returned from leave, you see. Did you get your drone license, Fergus?
Not in theory.
Fergus got his theoretical drone license. Practical takes a bit longer, does it? Aren't they pretty? Little babies. Such a life of strife they have coming their way, don't they? 50% of them, of course, will not see their first birthdays. I don't really like that statistic. Not because I think it's a bad statistic, but because, well, it just makes me rather sad to think of these little things being torn from life's brief grasp. But everybody gotta eat out here. And they're already, although they're still so young, I mean in most cases, or far less than a month old in fact in most cases, they are eating only, well they're already on their solids, they're not only drinking milk. And they'll be weaned before they're 3 months old. Ralph is now hailing me on the Game Drive channel. And please go ahead, Ralph. Sorry, he is talking very loudly to me. Copy, Ralph. I'm going to check Mvubu Road quickly if you're going to check Gary Cutline, and then I'll go down Twin Dams. Ralph is just saying that he can also, or he's basically trying to coordinate a lion search. Now, while we are searching for lions, it's very important that we wait and listen to what's going on. Morning Glory, you reckon Central Road or Twin Dams? Well, you'd be in agreement with Ralph. Now we've got Herbert on the job. He says southern side of Gari Cutline, so that's towards Central Road. And Herbert is on other tracks. Herbert is on tracks of a female that he does not think was calling. Goodness gracious. Ralphie, my boy, you're very loud this morning. Can't hear anything further, but isn't this just the most wonderful golden picture of a new life? Oh, Chitty Meg, you say this is your first baby impala sighting. Well, it's a good one. And I'm just being a little bit more silent than I might be otherwise because I'm listening to the Game Drive radio, and also Well, at this time of the morning, you don't want some fool blethering away at you. You want to listen to the crested barbets and kingfishers and doves, red-chested cuckoos, Diederik's cuckoos, Klaas's cuckoos. Isn't it lovely? Makes one sigh out in happiness. And one should sigh out in happiness now, because I assure you it's going to be a bit of a cooker today, I think. I don't think we're going to have the coolest day we've ever had. But that's okay. We don't mind. It's summer. I'm trying to figure out what that little thing is trying to eat. I guess it must be the new shoots. He looks like he's eating out of the back of that trunk, but I don't think he is. Is he? She? He? I think there's some shoots the other side. I'm just going to roll forward. Oh, didn't like that. Sweet little thing. Alright, I think let's move on and see if we can't find ourselves a lion or two. Are you ready to find a lion or two, Fergus? I thought you might be. I think we will be joined by the Maasai Mara today. Their internet troubles seem to be a thing of the past-ish. Oh, look at that little thing lying there. That is too sweet. Just listening again to the radio, and it seems that there are more lion tracks coming onto Djuma from round about where we found the tracks yesterday. No, that is too sweet. Isn't that marvellous? Look at them. The one next to it now having a sort of morning ablutions, looking quite confused by life. Well, who wouldn't be born into this? Quite nice when they allow us to sit like this with them, because normally they just move off. No, we don't have any chance to spend time like this with them. And all of the instincts right there to know where to scratch and how to scratch with that specially adapted tooth, and what to eat and where to lie down to try and ruminate. Oh, it's very sweet. So this is just a little gathering nursery now. You'll probably find a few others coming to join this little nursery. They'll have their mid-morning nap, as all youngsters must, while their mothers eat all around them. And of course keep an eye out for predators. They've had a pretty good time of it of late over here, because the leopards have been down south in Chitwa largely. Lara Moore, you're wondering about whether these animals will avoid spots where cats have scent marked? Yes, I think they probably would, if they could smell it. I mean, I'm pretty sure they can smell it, but, you know, so if they smell the territorial marking of a cat, it will result in them becoming much more alert and looking around, and possibly moving away from it to another area. But it's a little bit like, I suppose, it's a little bit like the fact that they will go towards a predator that they've seen, because once they've seen it and they know where it is, then they can be pretty sure they will survive any attack, because obviously they're fast enough. You know, predator must take them by surprise in order to catch them. And so while the smell of a predator probably makes them more alert, I'm not sure necessarily that they would disappear from that area, because what they want to do is know where the predators are. It's when they can't see them and don't know where they are that they have the biggest problem. What a lovely little scene we have here. See, just falling asleep. Lady Starfire, you say they look very soft and clean and sweet. They do, don't they? I'm not sure what that sucking in of air is. They both seem to be doing that. Perhaps the nasal cavity is not quite complete yet. That's why they have to breathe with their muzzles going up and down. Oh, that's wonderful. Special time of year, this really is. Philip, I'm not sure if you're making the bad ranger joke, or if you're genuinely worried that these are steenbok. They are not steenbok. They are definitely impala lambs. We as guides tease each other on a yearly basis with the poor joke that whenever the first person sees an impala lamb, they go, "I saw the first impala lamb." We say, "No, you didn't, you saw a steenbok," and then we think we're very funny. Which we are, I suppose. Hilarious. Yeah. Fergus is rolling about, aren't you, Fergus?
Every day.
Mm-hmm. Alright, I think we should carry on and see if we can find a lion. Oh, sorry, little chaps. They all got up and ran, unfortunately. Thought they might. Cheryl, you want to know what the air smells like today? It smells like freshness. It's got quite a bit of moisture in it, so it smells quite sort of, not quite petrichor-y, but there's a little bit of soil smell as the water or dew starts to evaporate off the ground. Yes, I would say a sort of vegetation freshness, if you like. A little bit like going into a greengrocer's store before it has been sullied by customers. Yeah, that's quite a good way of putting it, I think. Let's go down here. Alrighty, Brentley Smith is in the Masai Mara, and he would very much like to say good morning to you. I think he's heading down the escarpment as we speak, so, well, give him my best.
Well, good morning and welcome to another beautiful sunshiny day in the Masai Mara. My name is Brent Smith. I have the incredible Manu on camera, and I think we're going to go look for some lions. We saw 40 different individual lions yesterday, and it was only 33 of them
that we did not see live, and that was the very skittish border pride right down on the Tanzanian border. So I think we might as well carry on, see if our lion luck is holding. Hashtag Safari Live if you have any questions. Unfortunately, Jamie is delayed this morning. Paka, after getting almost all the way to the park, decided not to start anymore. So she is being towed back to camp, and hopefully Shadi, our mechanic, can sort out that problem. So it's just me in the Mara, and I'm excited to share it with you. Now I'm going to go have a quick look for the Angama Pride first. I heard that they were near the big rock yesterday evening, so we're going to take a little trundle in that towards that area and see if we can spot them. Now the big rock is right up against the escarpment. Actually, I think I see them from here. Is that lions? Let's see. Manu, you see the big rock?
Yeah.
To the right of the big rock, there's a termite mound, and just to the right of, between the two termite mounds, so a little bit to the right. No. Are those lions? No, those are more rocks. False alarm. I'll have to be a bit closer to see what's happening there. Oh no, there they are. Okay. Over there. Is that them? A little bit to the left. No, those are topi. Oh, maybe the lions are stalking. But they're said to be somewhere in that area. So let's just go have a closer look. And I did notice on Facebook this morning, someone was asking us for an identification on a moth. Cheetah's wondering, has any animal ever damaged our vehicle while out here? Well, over the time, bent steering arms, broken tie rod ends, lots of different damages that have been done to the vehicles. But that's the nature of the game when you're out following animals for many hours at a time. Now, as I was saying, like, I got asked to identify a moth for someone. Let me just remember who it was. It was for Carol Claessens, and she said she saw said moth in Zimbabwe. And fortunately for you, Carol, I knew exactly what it was. It is called a shea defoliator, or a pallid emperor moth. So that's what it is. Now, in certain parts of Africa, they are actually quite destructive, and that's where the defoliator name comes from. And that name actually comes from Nigeria, where they have been known to completely strip trees of all their leaves. And strangely enough, it was a long time ago, but Scott Dyson was on camera with me, and we found a whole bunch of shade defoliator. There's the lion larvae busy strip. Oh, they've already crossed. There we go. There's all the lions. They're stripping a gardenia tree. But I will show you a picture of the shade defoliator once we've had a look at the Angama Pride. Hello, guys. Uh-oh, what's going on? Is that lioness in the back? See how there's... There. Is she stalking something? Or is she running away from something? One or both? I'm trying to see what's down there. I can't see much there. Just check what that... what was that? I think there was a hyena there. It just dropped its head now. to the right. Oh no, I can't see it anymore. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move around into the higher ground, and there's a road that loops around to where those lions are. Just in case they are hunting, we want to get into a better position. I think they are hunting something, but I can't see what it is yet, and we're a bit far. Jeremiah, indeed. Jeremiah says the grass is getting so tall, and so quickly is it getting tall, Jeremiah. And it does seem to happen almost overnight. You sort of blink your eye, and all of a sudden, there's a grass of 2 feet, 3 feet, and a while ago it was a couple of inches. Okay, hold on. Who's Rebecca? Just prep an action broadcast. Okay, I'm just going to try and get into a better position. But they definitely look like they are stalking something. Hold on. So our lion luck seems to continue here in the Mara. This is a very inconvenient turn onto a road here. Opa! Some Ferrari safaring. Whee! Now you just saw how that lioness was moving. I immediately got me interested in what she might have seen. And she was heading in this direction. So that's why I chose to loop around ahead of them. And all the cubs sitting up at the top looking down. Of course, during this time of the year, the Angama, the sausages, a lot of the prides, once the wildebeest have gone and the grass gets a bit longer, they tend to start specializing in warthog. Okay. So, sorry about that. Apparently we are getting a little bit of breakup. I do apologize profusely. Okay, there she is. This, whatever she's looking at, is up ahead. Okay, this road, if I remember correctly, does do a loop. So I'm going to go to where the lions should be at the end of a hunt, rather than behind them in the long grass in the beginning. There we go. My memory was correct. The road does loop to loop around a little bit towards where I want to go. Let's try to figure out what they're after now. Unfortunately, this isn't the high usage zone. You can see how muddy it is already. So, from all the rain, we won't be doing any scuttling about off-road here. It's a warthog. As I said, they specialize in warthog at this time of the year. So there we go. Oh, the warthog has sensed. I think it actually spotted the lion cubs. The lion cubs gave it away. There they are. Now that warthog might not run too far, so it's going to be interesting to see what the ladies get up to. Cubbies out in the open. Now I can't see where the lionesses that were stalking it are. Let's have a quick look. That warthog stopped. It's not too far away. You see the warthog, Manu? Okay, see there's a little patch of green bushes. Just come out a little bit. Oh, there we go, you got him. See, and you can see why the lions specialize in warthogs at this time of the year. The warthogs are unable to see what's going on. The lions are, the lionesses, I think that might not even be in the warthog they were stalking, because they're all looking in a different direction and moving that way. As I said, there's a lot of warthogs in this area. But they are looking a little bit peckish this morning. What? Okay, just to the left of the tree. Is that another lioness? A little bit more left. Left of the tree. Yes, it is. So actually, I think they were after a completely different warthog to the one we were with. So I thought they were heading this way. They obviously weren't, because all the lines are popping up in a completely different area. Interesting. I'm pretty sure it's warthog that they are after. In the long grass, the warthogs can't see nearly as much now as they could a few months ago. So it does make them slightly easier to catch. Hello, big girl. Well, now it seems that the lions are getting on the move and in a different direction. So I'm going to have to run around to go try get back onto the road I was on. But before we do that, just quickly for Carol, who was asking about that moth on Facebook. There we go. It's called the pallid emperor moth, or the shade defoliator. Beautiful big moth. But let's go out quickly on that. And then, as I said, Scott and I, many moons ago, found a whole gardenia tree full of the larvae of the pallid emperor moth. So there we go. Okay, I'm going to shoot round back up onto the road I was on, because the lions seem to be heading in that general direction. While we do that, let's go back down to Djuma and to Ralph, who's also searching for lions.
All right, folks, very exciting. We had about 4 or 5 vehicles. Everybody spread out. Everybody was looking for the lions, and it seems they have been located. So we're hot-footing it a little bit. We're driving a little bit faster than usual because we want to go and find where they have been spotted, and so that's where we're heading at the moment. And I haven't heard which pride it is just yet. I think they're still trying to work it out, but nevertheless, they have been located. So my suspicions were correct this morning. I wasn't hearing things. I did hear the lions, and the viewers who spotted those buffalo running across the wall, well done. We all put all the clues together, we spread out, and we have come to a solution. We found them eventually, so that's great news. We also did come across some tracks of leopard that had entered the property, so we're quite excited about that as well. There might be another animal inside here that has been outside on the Buffels Hook side of the reserve that has re-entered into our concession, so we might have another animal that we can follow up on a little bit later. But for now, I think my concentration is on the lions. I know you have been watching that with Brent, but it's quite exciting for us, especially having started out, having heard them. Now we can go and have a look at them. And great teamwork from us. The vehicles at the lodges. We also had James, Herbert also out, the scout, the tracker. He was looking. He's got some leopard tracks now that he's trying to follow up on. But everybody was working for the same goal, and it's nice that we found them eventually. So VM is just helping me and directing me on the quickest and easiest road to get to where we need to be. I nearly went left, thanks VM. It's directing me right. We're heading up here. We're going towards Impala Plains with the telegraph, or not the telegraph, the power line. So it's Impala Plains and the power line road. That's where they have been spotted. So they did move actually quite a distance from where we actually seem to have heard them calling already in such a short space of time. So they don't hang around. If they want to move, they move fast, and they've moved quite a bit of distance. So they would have had us doing the complete runaround. If we didn't have so many vehicles, I would have possibly thought that they've disappeared into thin air, because I was checking in the area that we had heard them and picking up no sign of them whatsoever. But with everybody fanning out, spreading around, everybody, and there had been another call that had been heard, but from the position that I was in, and myself and VM, we didn't hear anything. And when we heard from the FC that the viewers had been hearing them as well, we switched off immediately, and we didn't hear anything at all. So it was obviously because they had moved over sort of on the other side of the bit of a ridge. It's not really a ridge per se, but it's a bit of a watershed area where we would then possibly not be able to hear them calling on this side. So that's most likely the reason we didn't hear them. Nonetheless, it's the thrill of the chase, the thrill of the hunt. We heard them, we followed up on them, and they have been found. So that's fantastic. Right, folks, it's not going to be long, and we're going to be in the sighting with these lions. But in the meantime, let's cross over to James and see how his morning is going.
Well, what we found is a squirrel that is yawning, stretching, sticking its tongue out, and looking quite pleased to be up and out of any danger. Let me just let go of the brake. Oops, hang on, sorry. What a mess. I'm just listening to some cuckoos calling. We did not find any further evidence of those lions, I'm afraid. So I don't know what's going on. There's the little squirrel, sticking its head down now. And Ralph is apparently on his way to lions now. I thought Ralph was on his way to a leopard, but maybe he's going to lions. Anyway, then we've got Herbert way up north and west looking for male leopard as well. So maybe we'll be lucky. We'll see. What I'm going to do is do a quick turn around sort of Tundi's general area here, see if we can't pick up something there of her, and then we'll head up to where Herbert is. What a very nice squirrel sighting we just had. May lose a bit of signal going through here. Should be fine the other side. There we go. There we are. Now, this was the original den site. and we don't see anything there. So we'll just do a quick turn around here and see if we don't get very lucky. Listening out for alarm calling squirrels and birds and impalas, tops nyalas. This is a very popular place for nyalas to be. A comment from My World Your Music, who says that she's very grateful, I'm assuming it's a she, might be a he, very grateful that we always show squirrels. Thank you. We like to show squirrels, or as they say in the United States, squirrels. S-K-W-I-R-R-L-S, squirrel. Let me just get to the top of this hill here, and then I think we'll stop and see if we can't see some of the birds that are calling around here up on the crest. Hello, Chitty Bang Bang. Sorry, Kitty Bang Bang, of course, not the car of legend. Kitty Bang Bang, you're saying, have I ever seen a Pell's fishing owl? I have. I have been fortunate enough to see a Pell's fishing owl in Botswana, in the Okavango Delta. That was the first one I saw. I feel like I've seen one in South Africa as well, but I can't remember where. You get them on the Sand River from time to time. So maybe when I was at Londolozi I saw one there. Yes, I don't see any tracks of this leopard. We're not sure where she's gone. Gary, you're wondering if we drive at night or if it's too dangerous. Well, Gary, you know, we're so tough and brave, it really wouldn't matter about the danger. So, you know, while it is extremely dangerous to be out at night, we'd do it anyway. I'm talking rubbish. Gary, it's not too dangerous at all. You can absolutely drive at night. There are lots of people who do night drives around here. We don't do a huge amount of after dark stuff at the moment because we don't have the equipment to deliver a really good picture at night. We did have, during the course of our TV series in the Mara, we had some very specialized equipment, and so we did a lot of nighttime stuff then, all in infrared. You see, we don't want to, we don't want to use bright lights, because obviously that ruins the lives of animals that are trying to use the nighttime as cover. But yes, in theory, you can drive around at night. It's no more dangerous. Can be a little bit more frustrating because you can't see anything. But we do operate at night from time to time. Nice question that about the night. Just look up on the top of that tree there, Ferg. There are some cuckoos. Now that is the Jacobin's cuckoo, I think. It is. Or is it striped? See in the top right, Ferg? Top right? Yes, there we are. It's that sort of long thing. There we go. It looks like a Jacobin's cuckoo as opposed to a Le Vaillant's cuckoo. Although it looks a little stripy round the neck from here. Let me just get out my bird application. Birds, Roberts, Field Guide, Cuckoo. It is a... no, I think that it is a Jacobin's cuckoo. What we want to look at is the tail and how many sort of has it got white patches all the way up? or just a few at the bottom. This one looks like it's got white patches all the way up. So I'm going to go then with Levalence cuckoo. I think that's what it is. Let's play the call. That's me playing the call, in case you thought we just had a superb microphone. So that is the Levalence cuckoo. The Jacobin sounds like this. You see, that sounds like the call that I was hearing earlier. Anyway. There are 3 or 4 of them here, lurking around. Right. Shall we continue along our way? No alarm calling birds here yet. Umga? Yes, absolutely they do. By definition, a cuckoo does what you have suggested. They use other birds' nests to lay their eggs in. The Levalence cuckoo uses the arrow-marked babbler. All of the cuckoos here have either 1 or 2 or 3 host species. Just trying to think. I mean, I should remember this, but I never do remember it. So let's look. The most common cuckoos we get here are the Diedericks and the red-chested. The red-chested, I think, is a parasite of the starlings, am I correct? Brood parasite of Cape Robin chat. Well, we don't get Cape Robin chat here, so I think it's probably starlings and possibly even the white-browed scrub robin. Alright, while I consider exactly what's going on with the cuckoos and Tundi and all the other complicated things out here, Ralph has got a small thing that looks like a rat but isn't.
Alright folks, we've been hot in pursuit of the lions, but they moved into the thick brush, and so everybody is once again spread out trying to find them, and we came along down a road just to try and eliminate an area that they might have moved in, and we've come across these little guys who really love to watch. And we didn't only come across these little guys, we've got somebody very big up in front, but for the moment I just want to sit with this little group of dwarf mongoose, because they've been really posing for us nicely as they sit in the fork of this marula tree. They've been foraging a little bit, looking for grubs and insects underneath the bark. And it's quite fascinating to watch mongoose, and very often in the early morning they are quite late risers. They like to wait until it heats up, warms up quite a bit. When it's quite cold in the morning, they generally are quite sluggish and take a while to get going. And they've got quite a heavy relationship with the hornbills, because the hornbills benefit from them, especially when they're foraging. So when they're foraging around trying to catch insects and grubs, they bump up quite a lot of other insects, and the hornbills then benefit because they can feed on it. And very often, because of the sluggish nature in the morning, the hornbills will literally go to the burrows where the mongoose have been sleeping, and they literally try and wake them up, and they're like, "Come on, Len, let's get going, let's start foraging," and the mongoose take a while to get going. Lint comment coming that you've never seen them in a tree before. Yeah, you very often see them up on a on a termite mound, but this marula tree seems to have died back. It's got some new shoots up the top, so it's not completely dead, I believe, but it's also full of holes. It makes for good nesting for hornbills and other birds, and also genet and possibly bush babies, and as we can see, lovely den site for dwarf mongoose. But yeah, lovely relationship between the mongoose and the hornbills. So very often when I'm driving along and I see a whole host of hornbills sitting up in the tree or on the ground, if there's lots of them around, you generally switch your vehicle off and wait a couple of seconds or minutes, and you'll generally see the dwarf mongoose start to show themselves, as they're often associated with each other. So one of those little tricks that we use. Lots of hornbills in the tree, you can generally guarantee that there's going to be the dwarf mongoose on the ground. And now remember that the mongoose also gain from that relationship, and in that they've got the hornbills up in the tree. It's extra eyes for them to warn them of predators. He's still there, because they will also be susceptible to the predatory birds. It's probably their biggest predator. Now, while we're watching these dwarf mongoose, there's all sorts of banter going on the radio. There's a number of male lions that are calling in the area. They're not sure if they're chasing each other around or if they've maybe the Birmingham boys. But there's a few lions in the area. So once we've finished here, and once we've finished with this big individual that we've spotted up ahead on the road, we'll possibly move on and find the lions. Matt asking the question, is a mongoose's hair smooth or coarse? It's quite smooth, and well, it's quite difficult to say. It looks quite coarse, but for me it is quite smooth. I have stroked one before. It more importantly, I've stroked a surrogate, and very similar hair that they have. It's very soft, but it does look quite coarse. So it's quite thick. It's quite thick, the hair itself, but it is quite soft to the touch, if that answers your question. So it's not a very coarse hair, but it is quite thick and but soft at the same time. Right, I'm just going to head up the road a little bit here, and then we can show you the actual reason that we stopped. We had a bonus with the dwarf mongoose being to the left of us, but we actually stopped because we were blocked on the road by a very big mammal that I dare say has maybe moved off, but he was just in this area. I do need to move slowly. I can hear him now. No, there he is. Sometimes they can disappear through the brush quite easily. Now there he is. If you can see him there, we're just seeing his bum go through there. I'm going to move forward a little bit more. I don't want to get in his way. It is a bull elephant, and he's not in must, so he's relaxed and slowly moving through the brush. It's a young bull. It's not a big bull at all. There he is. So you see, we were racing to find lions, and we found a lovely young bull elephant on the way. Happily moving through the thicket, feeding as he goes. He's just gone a little bit behind the guarri there. By guarri I mean the tree, but he's slowly been feeding. Look at that, he's not huge tusks. I would say this individual getting into his late teens, early 20s. That's what it looked like for me, just on the brief, clear view I had of him. He's not a massive bull. He's quite young, but he's old enough to be out on his own. I'll move forward just a little bit more. Let's see if we can just get a last view of him before we go back to trying to find those lions, which was our whole point, but never pass up an opportunity to hang around with an elephant. And everybody is still trying to relocate, so we would just be driving around in the interim, and it's starting to warm up quite substantially at the moment. So those lions, once found, I believe they will be going to lying down and resting up for the day. So while we watch this elephant, let's cross over to Brent, who's got some stalking lions.
So guys, it looks like the lions are on the move again after more warthogs, but it's quite far away. Hold on, bumpity bump. It looked like there could be some piglets, but we couldn't see clearly through the long grass. Okay. So I'm not sure. I think I saw... there's warthogs running away. I think they spotted the lions again. Where's that one now, Manu? 12 o'clock. Okay, so, let's go live, Becca. Oh my goodness, welcome everyone to the middle of the African bush. We are at 100% live, coming to you from the Masai Mara in Kenya. There is a warthog who doesn't know it's being surrounded by a pride of lions at the moment. So there's some young lions there, but the adult lionesses are there. This warthog is actually running straight towards where there's an adult lioness hiding in the longer grass. She's just disappeared out of sight. And at this time of the year, warthogs are one of their favorite foods. Now, I can't see where that lioness has disappeared, but somewhere very close to that warthog is a lion. There's another warthog there, so there's two warthogs. Remember, this is 100% live, coming to you from one of Africa's greatest game reserves, the Masai Mara. If you have any comments, please. There she goes. Oh, left, Manu. Oh, they got away. Oh, that warthogs were very, very lucky. That lion was just in the wrong spot. They were so close. They surrounded those warthogs. But you saw that incredible speed showed by the warthog to escape the ever-encroaching lions. Dearie me, that was very close. Remember, this is 100% live. Okay, well, those warthogs definitely made good their escape. The lions look like they're going to walk down towards us. They might just flop down in the shade. Now, we're quite spoiled where we're sitting at this very moment, because we've got a beautiful big pride of lions. We've got some big elephant bulls up towards Olololo. There we go. Hello, elephants. Also having a nice graze this morning. And then, to the right of them, we've got one of the most rare creatures in Africa. Where's he gone? There, I think. Is that not him between the two trees? No. Where's he gone? Oh, there is a black rhino around here as well. Let me get my binoculars out, see if I can find him. And he was around, we saw him, but then we got distracted by the lions hunting. There he is. To the left of those bushes, there we go. There's a rhino as well. Lots happening in this area this morning. Chitwa would like to know, how often do lions actually get kills? They're only successful between 12 and 15% of the time. So about 1.5 times out of 10 will they actually catch something. Of course, if they caught things all the time, it would be very bad because there'd be no other animals left. They'll catch enough to survive. Oh, has she spotted something again? No, she's just going to look where the warthogs ran off to. And it was a nearly perfectly executed encompassing maneuver by the lions. Unfortunately, it just didn't pan out for them. Let's see where they're going to go. They're going to probably pop themselves on a termite mound, try and get some high ground advantage. Excuse me. Hello, Becca. Becca would like to know, how many warthogs would it take to feed all of those lions? Well, it depends on the warthog, Becca. A big male warthog can weigh over 100 kilograms, and probably not feed them full, but definitely give them a good feed if they were able to catch a big adult male warthog. But probably 2 or 3 female warthogs would be needed. But of course, any little bit helps. Looks like they're on the move again. I just want to try to see which direction they're going to go to. Now, it looks like the hunt is over for now. I'm just going to reposition to where I think they might pop out next, close to the road. While we do that, let's go across to James, who's got something that can be scary, but a lot less scary than a lion.
Terrifying, absolutely terrifying. Sitting in its nest here, we have got an Egyptian goose. Now, I don't think they built this nest. As far as I'm aware, they do build platforms, but I think this is a hawk eagle's nest that they have commandeered. They have evicted the hawk eagles through probably just shouting at them, standing in the top of the tree and yelling loudly at them, because that's what Egyptian geese do best. I'm just going to quickly check if they do build their own nests, because of course they do not have the feet to do a huge amount of sort of grappling and picking up of things, on account of the fact that they have webbed feet. Egyptian goose breeding monogamous, nests on ground or in old stick nests of other species, e.g. hamarkop or pied crow. Well, you can add to that list African hawk eagle and red-billed buffalo weaver. So they don't have the equipment to build a nest like that, and so they've commandeered it. They're very loud, very obnoxious. You can see. I think they're probably I think this one is now calling its mate, who was in the nest at the time we arrived, and it flew off. Let's see if it comes back. Now last year when we had the drone flying over, oh there we go. We had the drone flying over the Chitwa Dam. We managed to see a remarkable thing. We saw, I think it was 12 eggs in the top of one of the red-billed buffalo weaver's nests. We think they were in the sun, and they probably basically became hard-boiled and they were unable to hatch. Be interesting to take a drone up there and have a look and see what's going on inside that nest. And it just so happens, of course, that we have a drone pilot in training on the vehicle, but with no drone. Very nice. Sorry, can I have the name again? Little one Naya, you've been quite rude about geese. You say they are so rude and a-holes. Little one Naya, you can't say things like that about geese. I don't think they're mean, I just think they're quite loud. They can be quite defensive, I suppose. True geese, domestic geese for example. Domestic geese can be pretty, well, they can be pretty aggressive. But this is not actually a true goose, it's a duck. Sometimes known as a tomb duck. Anyway, little one Naya, I'm sorry that geese offend you so. I think that you need to work on your relationship with them. Seek one out. Have a conversation with it. Let it bite you a few times. Righty, we're going down now towards Nyala Road North. I've had absolutely no sign of Tundi. This is of course the worry, the kind of growing anxiety that happens when you find the den and then you decide, oh, let's leave them alone, let's not try and put her under any pressure, and then of course she moves the den, disappears, and anxiety builds. Yes, they do, Cassandra. You say geese make good guard dogs. They absolutely do. That's true geese, of course, not Egyptian ones. Egyptian geese are not, I don't think, have ever been used as guard dogs. I'm not sure if I've ever eaten goose before. It's not a big thing in South Africa. Have you eaten goose?
The fat to make potatoes.
You've used the fat to make potatoes. Ah. Is it recommended? Fergus did spend quite a lot of time in the UK. Did they eat geese there? Not every day. Right. I'm reminded of that old story, The Darling Buds of May, which was made into a television series, but it was a book before that, of course, and it was about a sort of family of reprobates living in the English countryside, and they used to eat geese all the time, along with vast quantities of port. I don't know, Lynn. You say if it's a duck, why do they call it a goose? I don't really know. I'm not sure what the reason is. I mean, and I'm actually not entirely sure what the difference between a goose and a duck is. Basically, I am led to believe that a goose is able to perch, I think, more effectively than a duck is. And a goose is also supposed to be a lot bigger. And the only goose that we have here is something called a spur-winged goose. Massive bird. Kirsten says they've got longer necks. I think she might be thinking of swans. Oh, she googled it the other day, she says, and no, they do have longer necks. Geese? How's our signal looking through here? Is it all right? We seem to be all right still. We've done a full circle now, but in case it gets a bit dodgy, let's go back to Ralph and he can tell you about, well, what it is that he's doing.
Alright folks, we've still been just trying to follow up on these lions. Now everybody is spread out once again, as I said. And it seems there's a few males running around. They lost the group of females, and so these lions are all around this area. So we're just gonna come up this road. We're going towards Impala Flats, or Impala Plains, and Aaron from New Zealand asking a question: are the lions far away? No, they're not. We've been hearing them. Sorry, not are they far away. Did they fly away? Well, it might seem as such. Question there from New Zealand. Yes, it does seem like they've flown away, but they've been running around. They've been moving around in this area. There's a few males. I don't know if they're chasing each other, or if they're chasing the females, but we're just trying to relocate them. Everybody is on the lookout. There's been some animals, antelope being very nervous, so the lions are definitely around and they're on the move. So they were spotted, but then they went into the thick brush, and obviously then everybody trying to relocate once more. So that's what we're trying to do at the moment. Has been a bit of fun and games this morning, a bit of cat and mouse, with us being the cats and the cats being the mouse. So, but you never know, like just prior to this, we're looking for lions, but we always stop for anything interesting along the way as well. We bumped into that elephant, and right next to the elephant we also had a lovely little sighting of the dwarf mongoose. So it's funny, when you're looking for one thing, you find all sorts of things along the way. And that's why it's not about the destination, it's about the journey, isn't it? So, and I was very rightly corrected by VM with the sighting of those dwarf mongoose. That was in a false marula, not a marula. So even us veterans can make an easy mistake like that, eh? But that was silly of me. It was definitely a false marula, so excuse me for that. I was more concerned about the little critters inside it. So, where are these lions? Heading now again in an easterly direction. We've gone all the way up to the main gate, and now we're coming back again. So we've eliminated a big area. You know, these animals could have moved in the interim, but it's all about the process of elimination. Trying to work out which direction they're moving, and then try and cut them off, or try and get them where they would have passed through, if indeed they still are on the move. Like I said, it's not too long, and it's getting nice and warm now. I've taken my jersey off, and they're going to be lying down when it gets a bit too hot for them to keep moving. So we're in that stage now, just that last hour or so, I think, of them continuing to move around, as we hear the long-billed crombeck calling to our left. Long-billed crombeck, as it is in Afrikaans. Krom meaning a skew or a round, and bek meaning bull, so a bit of a skew bull is his name. He's got a long skew bull. That's the Afrikaans name, a long-billed crombeck. Now, I'm going to just switch off. We've got a little bit of pace going on here. We can always see if we can hear these lions while we freewheel down towards Quarantine. Vehicles you can see on the road in front of us, lots of vehicle tracks. Everybody's been racing around trying to find out where these lions are, where they're moving, what are they doing. And we're following up behind them. So sorry for the bumps on the camera. We are still heading along down the road. I'm trying to make it as smooth as possible for you. I know it can feel a little bit like you're on a merry-go-round when we're driving along, and can make you feel a little bit sick and difficult for the cameraman to keep his steady shot. But we don't have tar roads here. ML asking the question, what's the strangest thing or the funniest thing that's ever happened to me on a game drive? Let me have a think about that. Oh, you got me on the spot now. I've had lots of strange things happening. One of the things that was quite strange or funny, I had a group of South African guests, very famous group of South African guests, and they were with me, and we were near to we were in Etosha National Park, and we went to a lovely waterhole, and we had just had elephants in the water and rhino coming to drink, and then we had the lions come around, and it was just after the elephants had moved through and the lions they came and had a drink, and then they were roaring, and they were right in the area. And I had a big trailer with me because I was doing an overland safari type game drive. We hadn't arrived at our camp yet. This was on our way through towards the camp, and we finished watching the lions. They sort of moved off in the direction that we were going to be moving off as well, and I turned around and we started up down the road, and lo and behold, I had a puncture. So I had to get out of the vehicle, and I got one of my guests to climb up on top of the vehicle to watch out for any lions, because they were right there. Any lions and elephants while I changed the tire. Now, they thought this was hilarious, and you might think it's strange to get a guest up on top of the vehicle, but they quite enjoyed it. They got a lovely view of the area, and luckily they didn't spot any big game coming towards me, but we had a couple of other guests stopping and taking photos of us, me under the vehicle trying to change the tire, and so it was quite funny. It wasn't exactly strange, but we were quite close to lots of big and dangerous animals while I was out the vehicle trying to change my tire. So that was a little incident that we had, and the guests sent me photos of it, and they quite enjoyed the little experience. So that was quite fun. So we still don't have any sight of these lions. I'll switch off once again, just try and listen out, see if we hear anything. We've got some guinea fowl here on the right, but I'm just going to stop here and be quiet, and in the meantime let's go over to Brent, who I think has got something with 2 big horns for you.
Well, we've got oh, there it is. Look at that. So that rhino that we saw in that far distance earlier has just wandered past us and continuing on his morning patrol. He seems to be on quite the mission this morning. Now, the lions are just behind us, but they've gone to sleep. We can hear more male lions roaring down towards Makoporini and the graveyard. So I think this rhino is heading towards some nice shady areas. Probably going to go have a little nap now that it's starting to get quite warm. Death Cretan, that's an interesting handle, thought that black rhino were extinct. No, they are not extinct. There are quite a few left. The biggest population of black rhino is in southern Africa, and particularly South Africa. There's about 40 to 50 in the Mara northern Serengeti ecosystem. But they are not extinct. They are threatened. They are endangered, but they are by no means extinct. Now, earlier this morning, these rhino in this area are checked on every single day by the rangers. Earlier, the ranger came past, would have ID'd which rhino this is, ticked it off in his book, and then gone off to look for the others. Of course, they try to find them every single day. Sometimes they can't, but that's just because of the nature of the beast. And the rhinos here do like to spend quite a bit of time in thick forests, like the ones you can see in the distance. And he's moving off quite passively. Let's go see what the lions are doing. And that ties in wonderfully with what Anna Marie was asking. Anna Marie was asking, how often are rhino the target of lions? Well, Anna Marie, very, very, very seldom. I've been lucky enough to see a few lion-rhino interactions with black rhino and with white rhino. I've actually seen a lioness jump onto the back of a baby white rhino. It then got chased very quickly by mom. And in the Kruger, I know of one case where a young rhino was killed by a pride of lions, but it was a super pride of lions, about 16 adult females in that pride. So it doesn't happen very often. It is very rare. But it looks like the lions have decided it's time for lounging rather than hunting. And they are all lying on top of the termite mounds. So I think we're going to go see what else we can find now that the Angamas have decided it's time for a snooze. I'll start heading south for a little bit, see what's happening down there. Sorry, Kirst, you're breaking up very, very badly. I'm greeting you maybe 1 out of 5. Can you go again, please? Jacqueline is wondering, why don't they plant more trees in the Masai Mara? Well, Jacqueline, we don't plant things here. This is the bush. It is wild and natural, and it is a grassland ecosystem. And we wouldn't have all the amazing animals in the numbers we do if there were more trees. A lot of animals prefer grass to trees. Actually, most animals prefer grass to trees in terms of what to eat. So there's no need to plant more trees in the Mara because the Mara doesn't need any more trees. Okay, so we're going to pop back up towards the main road that heads down towards the river. So while I bumble about the Mara, let's go back to my good friend James C, who's bumbling about in South Africa.
I am doing much bumbling, I must confess to you right now. We are failing to find any tracks of anything, so we're just having a sort of pleasant drive through Djuma. There is a red-crested korhaan on that termite mound. Can you see it, Fergus? More importantly, can you see it with your camera? Oh, there it's flown off. Go, it's doing its display. Hooray!